Hello, 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 and welcome to a brand new episode of the Uncovering Greatness podcast. As always, I am your host, Sully, and today I am joined by Nicole Mitchell. Nicole is the lead processor at Uncovering Greatness, and what she does is she helps you get out of the way of you, meaning she helps you get out of your own way so you can do more, be more, have more, just live a great life. How you doing, Nicole?
Good, thank you, Sully. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good, and welcome to all our listeners.
Indeed, indeed. So we have reached the final stage of B.A.N.K, the K, the most important card of them all.
No knowledge questionnaire today.
We're gonna get there. There had to be research that went into the knowledge. Like,
Of course.
it's the most important one of all of them. Knowledge, the K in B.A.N.K. So please, could you read out the values of knowledge for us?
Okay, so our knowledge values are learning, intelligence, logic, self-mastery, technology, research and development, science, universal truths, expertise, competence, accuracy, and the big picture. So our knowledges are the people that engineered the box. They are our creators. They make things happen.
So you wanted some stats, so I have to give you some stats. It says only 20% of the world is interested in self-mastery.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Only 20%. Wow. Thought it would be a little bit higher, but if you take the 4 cards and put them into your B.A.N.K, 25, 25, 25, 25, that would be about that. But I also think one of the problems with self-mastery is school.
Okay.
School teaches us not to get involved in self-mastery.
So, okay, wait, because that's a very specific one that I chose there, because I feel like it ties in well into what we do as business. But like, what, from your perspective, your opinion, what is self-mastery?
So self-mastery is taking an area to mastery. So a knowledge, if they do taekwondo, they won't just stop at a yellow belt.
Yeah.
They'll go all the way to get their black belt. They will take one area and they will master that area.
Got you.
So if they decide to become a teacher, they will master the area of teaching. Okay. So they may not master every area in their life, but the areas that they value, they will take to a level of mastery.
I mean, that's...
And they'll do it themselves. They will study, they will find out, they will get all the information, they will do whatever it takes.
I mean, I feel like this is the only one that makes sense to me. I'm just saying, just in terms of the stuff, like in terms of the values, right? Learning, intelligence, logic, self-mastery, technology. That makes sense. I feel like, and that's just me. I'm like, yeah, all people should be interested in that.
Yes, they should. But how much logic is there in the world?
None.
It's just like, it should be like, people have logic, but they don't use it.
Yes.
They look for ways to complicate it and create it and make it all fuzzy and warm, and they don't go A, B, C.
So it's like, this will, because I know this is something you enjoy. So like taking a word, right? Taking a word like entrepreneur, logic. That's the word that has its definition.
Yes.
And then going mompreneur, teampreneur. The logic is that the word changes completely now. It's not the same word, is it?
No. It's not in the dictionary. It's not. It's like some of those words may be trademarked, but it's not in the dictionary. So what does it actually mean? So, and this for me is like, you're a mother who's an entrepreneur.
So just call yourself that.
Call yourself what you are.
Yeah. Don't make up things to confuse yourself and take out the
and confuse other people. And I think that's the one of the challenges is that when you look at things, what does it represent to you? But have you done your research what it represents to other people?
Okay.
Because if someone comes and says, I'm a mompreneur,
Yeah.
immediately I'm not going to take you seriously. Why would I? Because
Same.
mom comes first. So what that tells me is that you're a mom
First.
and then you're trying to be an entrepreneur afterwards. So it's a second.
It's a secondary thing. It's not as important.
So it's not as important as being a business owner. You are a mom and then an entrepreneur afterwards.
Whoa.
And people don't think about that or put logic to it when they are saying words.
True. Because, I mean, you always say words have meaning.
And are you clear on what the words actually mean?
How much of a knowledge are you? Because I feel like, so your code is...
I am
nurturing
blueprint, knowledge, action.
I feel like I feel that you're probably a little bit, I feel that's probably knowledge second. Because sometimes you're a lot more logical than you are, let's just, and maybe it's just because I'm looking at that word. But yes, I understand like the structures and all those things like important to you. But
my dad is a knowledge.
Okay.
So I grew up in a household where it was ingrained in me.
Okay.
So in terms of logic, he is a true knowledge of my dad. And so when he was learning, he would teach me to think like a knowledge. This is logic. This is how this works. This is how that works. This is how you do this. And he taught me and ingrained in me all of those things of a knowledge. So I am a knowledge not because I'm not a natural knowledge. I'm a knowledge because of my conditioning.
Yeah, because now I was just thinking about like, so for example, you gassed through becoming a processor, right? Becoming certified, but you did it in record time. And that's a level of self-mastery because you wanted to get really good at it quickly so you can help people quickly. Would that be fair?
So the blueprint in me is also because I had to plan, because in order to do my training, I had to go to the US.
Okay.
So typically the average person would go to the US 5 times.
Yeah.
So now flying from South Africa to America and paying a 20 grand flight every time, that's 100 grand just in airfares. That is a huge risk.
Yeah.
So the blueprints in me planned and structured my life and everything and made my processes predictable so that I did not have to pay the airfare 5 times.
Oh, okay.
I only paid it 3 times.
I see you.
And because of the rules of processing and the structure and the planning, it aligned with my values of a blueprint. It also aligned with my value of a nurturer because I can help people. I can create harmony in people's lives. It's part of teamwork. So it actually aligned with my other codes and my other values as well.
Was the titles and credentials important? Sorry, I'm now talking about you. I just feel like now it makes sense now.
The titles and credentials actually are not important to me.
Okay. So then that's a value that falls off. So could that happen in this, right? So let's just say, like you just said, title and credential isn't important, but learning and logic, well, actually, no, learning and self-mastery, for example, is important to you.
It's an interesting one because titles and credentials are not important to me, but all my certificates are up on my wall.
Very much so.
Barry has way more.
Yeah, I think I've already seen like one of these.
Barry has way more credentials than me, and none of his are up. So while I say they're not important,
subconsciously they kind of are.
They kind of are, because I took the time to frame them and put on my wall, make it look nice.
It's just screwing holes and
those kind of things. Yeah. So, and this is where it's just understanding the values, because B.A.N.K, and this is why I love B.A.N.K, is because you can be a mixture of codes, you know, A.B.N.K,
yeah,
or B.A.N.K, or whatever it is. You can have bits of all of those values.
Yeah. Okay.
And some of those are conditioned and some of those are natural. So, for example, Barry, if he has to, he can be a blueprint through and through.
Yeah.
If he has to follow rules, structure, stability, all of those things, he can, because he was conditioned into it. It's painful for him to do that, and it takes a lot of energy, but he can do it. And this is where, with me as a knowledge, it's not painful, and I can do it, but it takes a lot of energy.
That makes sense. I get you. So let's get back to the knowledge, because now I think that this is I didn't want to ask this question, but I have to, because I've asked it on the others. On a team, how frustrating could a knowledge be?
Oh, knowledges think they're superior to everybody else.
That's not true.
They are way superior. This is my experience. And so knowledges are often very challenging to work with as a team, and they will struggle to fit in with the team because they want to know, what are your expertise?
Okay.
What what have you taken to self-mastery? What are you learning? You know, where have you studied?
Yeah, how intelligent are you?
And, you know, how competent are you? You know, I don't want to work with you because you're not competent in the area of sales, so why would I work with you?
Yeah.
And knowledges tend to hang around with other knowledges because they can talk about their expertise, talk about how great they are. They can talk about how stupid everybody else is and how illogical everybody is. And so, like, for me, a really great example of knowledges that hang around, Big Bang Theory, Sheldon.
Yes.
And his
crew.
his geeks, his friends. And, you just see how they talk about universal truths. They talk about how incompetent other people are, how, they...
Smartest.
They're the smartest. They're always talking technology, research and development. What are they learning? How stupid other people are. And it's not to say that is a true knowledge, but it's a really great example of knowledges and how they connect with each other.
Yeah, I was just having a thought around a time when you and I worked for an organization, or working with another organization, and so I was in marketing and you were the head of marketing. I was like, I know Nicole. What does Nicole know about marketing? But it was that you then had the ability to kick into, and this is why I asked, is knowledge not true? Because you kicked into learning, right? Because you came to me, you'd ask me questions, how does this work? How does that work? But for a period of time at first, I was like, how competent is she in doing this? Because she doesn't, what I'm going to say, she's not going to know. And then I'm basically just going to be explaining her. And logic says to me that this is a waste of time right now.
But what I did is my nurturing kicked in, and I created harmony in the space, because the other people you were working with knew even less than me.
Yeah,
marketing.
That's very true.
And so for me, it was about, how do we create significance? How do we create community? Because that's what we were trying to do. We were building a platform on Facebook, and it was about community.
Yeah.
So for me, it was in my interest to learn about it, because we were marketing to the community.
Yeah.
And we were creating significance. And it was personal growth, harmony, contribution.
Yeah.
And so that my nurturing kicked in more so than my knowledge.
And also then actually your blueprint kicked in because then you wanted to you put in structures in place and systems in place and planning for me to be able to go, okay, cool. She may not understand marketing as the back end, but she can understand how to create. So Sudi, this should go out on a Monday. This should go out on a Thursday. You should talk about this. And I was like, oh, damn, that's actually quite beneficial to me because all of a sudden now we're not talking about just marketing. We're actually talking about how do we create a system that we can keep duplicating over time.
And so that's where the value of the different codes is so important. But exactly that's what happens. A knowledge will go, what do you know about marketing? And it's not that I devalue you. It's just that's a knowledge is they value knowledge.
Yeah.
And so what do you know? Like, what are you going to teach me? Like, and so one of the things with the knowledge is you cannot tell a knowledge what they know. Because if I tell you something, I'll say, do you know, Sully, did you know this on Facebook? And you're like, of course I know that. Or if I ask you, did you know about, I don't know, American politics?
Okay.
A knowledge
knows about it.
Of course they know about it. Like, how come you only found about, like, that just shows, you know, how incompetent you are. You only worked that out yesterday. Like,
I thought they were a rock.
Exactly. So how to work with a knowledge is not to go and tell them, it's to go and ask them. Because if you ask a knowledge, they will delight themselves in telling you everything.
So yeah, that was going to be my next question because I was like, I would imagine that if you're asking a knowledge a question around an area that they are incredibly competent in, they are going to be more than happy to share all of that knowledge with you to the point where you ask, how do I post this? And all of a sudden you now know how to edit videos because they're going to tell you everything about how to do it.
Correct.
Yeah.
And like a very good knowledge person that we both know very well, and they are involved in cars. They have taken that area to expertise.
Yeah.
So if I go and say, I'm thinking of buying a Hyundai. What do you think? They will tell me everything that is wrong with a Hyundai.
Yeah.
And why I should buy, I don't know, some other car like a Mahindra or a Kia or a whatever. They will give me all the reasons as to why I should not buy a Hyundai.
Yeah.
Because I asked them, what do you think? And they will tell me exactly what they think.
Yeah.
That's a shitty car because of X, Y, and Z. But if I go to that person and say, what do you know about a Hyundai? They will come back and they will go off and they'll do their research. And they will come back and they will tell me all the pros and cons.
Yeah.
They will tell me the good and the bad because I've asked the right question to a knowledge. So this is one of the key things about a knowledge is that if you want to get information from them, you have to ask questions. And you have to ask the right question.
And I think this is the cool thing about what you just said there, because every episode that we've done around the codes, you've taught on how to communicate with that code, right? And I think that is so crucial because if you don't know how to communicate with specific codes, like you're saying, if you go to a knowledge and you tell them something,
they're going to tell you why you're wrong.
You're going to end up in a world of trouble. And I realized that for myself because sometimes I get told things and I'm like, no, that's not true. And then all of a sudden I just end up regurgitating what actually I know is what I know as the universal truth. But it may not be, but that's what I know. From the information I've consumed and the research I've done, this is what it is. And it's funny that you bring up that person because they get the exact same thing to me, but they asked me, how you, when I just got in our new car, they were like, how are you finding the car? And I was like, no, it's good. Don't know. probably another 20 minutes went by and I was getting told about why this car is good and bad and this and that. And I was like, I'm just wanting it to take me from point A to point B. Like, but thank you. That's like really great information. And they have a lot of information.
And it's important to understand when you work with a knowledge, who is the expert. So if you are selling to a knowledge, if you are an action or a blueprint or a nurturer, you need to take another knowledge with you where you are selling. You need to give knowledge time and space to do their research. So if you give them information, they are going to go and do their research to see how true your information is. You cannot give the wrong information to a knowledge. If a knowledge is coming to see you, there's a pretty strong chance that they would have done all their research before you arrive.
Yeah.
Or they arrive.
I was gonna ask you that because I was like, so if you as a processor, you're gonna set up a meeting with the knowledge, more than likely before you've got in there, they've already researched you. They know what you do. They know how you do it. So now they will.
How many clients you have, they know what hours you work, where anything they can find, they will find.
Yeah. And do you think that actually it makes it easier in a sense to sell to knowledges when you are clear on the fact that this person's going to research? They're going to get all the stats. They're going to have all the things. So you can now come and go, 60% of salespeople stop after the first no. Is that what your sales team does?
So knowledges are actually probably, in my opinion, and what I've been taught, probably the hardest people to sell to, because they need time, they need space, they need to be able to do their research. They want to know who the expert is, what research and development has been done. They can tell you all the ins and outs, and they want to know all the ins and outs before they agree to the deal.
Okay.
So they are, like, in terms of technology, if you want to sell to them bricks,
yeah,
you want to sell bricks to a knowledge, you better be able to tell them who developed the bricks, where they developed it, what mud you're using, what X, Y, and Z cement you're using for the bricks, what's the best type, how it works, because they will do their research. And so, if you're a knowledge selling to a knowledge, it's easy because you're speaking the same language.
100%.
But if you are an action speaking to a knowledge and you're going, show me the money, baby. This product's going to make you a ton of money, and all you got to do is sign the bottom line. And the knowledge is going, no. I want to be able to understand. I want to know where it came from, when it was developed, what country it was developed, and who.
And it's funny that I feel like that's for me one of the issues I've had with like the crypto space, because there's a bunch of different information on it, right? So you can go search crypto. There's information about everything. And sometimes when you talk to crypto people, the way that they explain it to you doesn't make sense. The logic is out the window. And I'm like, blockchain, and the thing is here, and there's no money, and this doesn't make sense. But then the thing of like technology kicks in, and you're like, but I can see how that could work out in the long run for the future, where we're no longer using fiat currencies, right? So would you say that you do have that sort of balance with knowledges where they are they're going to do their research and all of that, but sometimes universal truths and logic does kick in for them where it's easier for you to sell to?
I wouldn't say easier, but it's, if you speak the same language as them, it's always going to be easy. But knowledges are very interesting because they know it or they don't. So I've seen it with the knowledge. If they don't want to learn something because it's a waste of time, doesn't matter what you do, they're not going to learn it. Because they don't see value in it. They don't see, like, where's the logic in me learning how to do X, Y, and Z. So it's interesting you say that, because they're either really good at something or very, I say bad, uninterested.
Yeah. It's like, it doesn't work for me, so I don't, because the logic kicks in and I'm like, it's not going to work for me. So
it doesn't matter. So
I don't need
that.
Yeah.
So, and this is where it becomes, you have to then prove to a knowledge, the research and development, and prove the value and the logic in terms of the intelligence behind it, all those kind of things. Otherwise, they're not interested. They switch off very quickly.
So you've said that knowledge is the hardest to sell to. But if I was to go to a knowledge, right, and I try and sell something to them and they say, this is that they ask me a question around something, I don't have that information. Is it okay for me to say, let me go find that out for you and I'll get back to you? Or is the sale gone the moment I say that?
Well, so it depends on what you set up.
Okay.
And how you set it up.
Okay.
But it's important for you to be open. I'm not the
expert.
I'm not the expert. So let me connect you with our expert.
Okay.
Because they will be the one who can connect with you. So if you, I just look at Sheldon Big Bang Theory. It doesn't matter what I say to Sheldon. I've got to go. I don't know that. I need to go and do some research and come back to you. Sheldon's going to look at you like
stupid. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so it's better to say, I am stupid. Let me connect you with the expert.
Yeah.
You are way more likely to close the deal doing that than saying, I'm going to go and do my research. Because the knowledge is like, just give it to me. Give it to me. I'll do the research.
So,
But I can do it. You're, and I'll use this example. Typical little 5-year-old. This little kid, I absolutely love as a knowledge because he is so your typical knowledge.
Okay.
And he last week Granny had bought a whole lot of carrots. And he's like, I don't want carrots. I'm over carrots. I'm done with carrots. Anyways, this week, Granny and him go shopping and they come back and there's a whole bunch of carrots.
Okay.
So his mom says to him, I see you and Granny bought carrots. I thought you were over carrots. He looks her dead straight in the eyes and says, Mom, I am tired of Granny asking me to pass her glasses to me so she can see. So she needs to eat carrots so she can see and I don't have to pass her glasses all the time. And that is logical for a 5-year-old, of course. Carrots make you see better.
100%.
So, Granny, you need to eat more carrots.
So I can get to do more of what I want to do because I can't keep passing you your glasses. You keep cutting in my day.
Correct.
Yeah, that's logical. I feel it.
Exactly. And, everyone how cheeky for a 5-year-old or whatever it is. But people, when you understand that he is a knowledge and, he even says, Granny, when I was a baby in my mommy's tummy, she prayed for me to be smart.
Oh, okay.
And you can't remember my dinosaurs' names. So when you go to bed tonight, you pray to God.
To be smart.
To be smart. Because he made me smart. And you need to say more prayers.
Logic.
Correct.
He got smart because his mom prayed for him.
Correct. And his granny can't remember his dinosaur names. I mean, and which one is which and when and how and at 5 he can tell you the names of things that I don't even know.
But in terms of that age, how important in terms of the codes as well, how important is it to nurture that versus what you said was don't be cheeky, don't be rude,
Well, for any of the codes, it's important to nurture those codes because those are the values that person has. So it's important for you to understand the codes very early on.
Yeah.
Because, and here's the thing, if you are, let's say, you're a knowledge and you live with a whole bunch of nurturing people, and nurturers are talking community and all of this, and you're like, I'm not interested. Knowledge typically, I mean, how they greet people is, like Upton, Big Bang Theory, Dr. Spock.
Yeah, that's his favorite character as well.
And it's knowledges are not your super affectionate. They're your generally as a greeting. They're your standoffish. Like they'll give you a head shake, a nod, a look.
Okay, over there.
And so if you as a knowledge grow up in a household where everybody is nurturing and they just want to love you and hug you and touch you, back off. That is going to affect your relationship with, boyfriend, girlfriend later on in life, because don't touch me. I'm so sick of being like, don't touch me, because your life, you grew up being hugged all the time.
So could that affect like your sympathy as well? Like how you have sympathy towards people. So let's just say, like you're saying, that's something you've always seen in your household. I know it's like one of the values, but like if that's something you see in your household like you grew up with that and you acknowledge, do you think that could affect how you actually operate with people?
So I wouldn't use the word sympathy, but it's knowledges are generally logical. They hide their emotions because emotions are not logic. So I don't want to deal with my emotion. So knowledge is more often, and this is my experience, okay, what I've observed is knowledges will often switch off their emotions because emotions are not logical. But yet, knowledges are often have the biggest spirits.
Okay.
And they are more connected to the universe because of universal truths than anybody else. And so knowledges often have that disconnection of emotion and spirit, because it's not logical. Like, I can't see my spirit, I can't see your spirit, so this means there's logic tells me that.
Logical, yes.
But everybody's different, and so that is a generalization. But knowledge is often, because it's logical, it doesn't make sense. So I will switch my emotions off because I don't want to deal with them.
That's fascinating too. So because I also just wanted to go quickly back to the kids and that importance. And I'm starting, like, the more we've done this, the more I've started to realize like the codes of my niece and my nephew. And my nephew's actually such an action. He just wants to go. He doesn't care where, what, how, why, when. Whereas my niece is so much of a nurturer. She wants people around her. She wants to make friends, and everybody must be happy and
Harmony.
no bullying, and let's all love each other. And there's my nephew, like, ready. If there's a bully, he's gonna take it on. Like, he does not care. It's just go, go, go. And just based off what you're saying, like understanding how to nurture that, how to keep it.
It is, when you understand the value, it doesn't mean you can't get them to do stuff. It's just connected to their value. There will be a lot more flow in the space. So if you understand your niece is nurturing and she needs community, and in order to get her to do things right, so I used to try this with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Your friends are coming. You need to clean up your room so there's harmony.
Nice.
Because I'm a nurturer. Well, guess what? Neither one of my children are nurturing. They couldn't give a stuff.
Yeah. It's just my friends.
Like, it's just my friends. What's the problem?
Yeah. Food's, yeah.
So I had to find other ways to get them to clean up their rooms. Okay, so then I click into my blueprint. These are the rules. You must do this. And that didn't work either.
Okay, you're just going through the cards now. What happened when you tried knowledge?
and this is, and so it's connected to one of their values. If your room is neat and tidy, do you think you'll be able to learn more? Because you'll be able to find stuff. Well, I know where all my stuff is anyway, Mom. It doesn't really matter. Okay, that didn't work. But now I'm starting to connect with their codes in terms of, and I will find something somewhere in one of their values that will get them to clean their room.
It's practice.
Correct. But it's understanding that when I connect to their value, so it could even be, right, I understand that your room's a mess.
Mm-hmm.
I need your room to be tidy because you want to go to, I don't know, the science museum this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No clean room, no science museum. Okay. Suddenly I'm connecting to the value of learning, intelligence, research and development. So now because, okay, I'll clean my room.
Yeah.
Because now it connects to my value. I've got a reason to clean my room. Okay.
That makes, yeah.
That ain't going to work with an action.
Yeah, what's it gonna do? Like, what?
So what? Action will just tuck everything in a ball and stick it in their bed and let's go.
Yeah, I mean, so for an action, you probably like have to make it a little bit more fun.
So we're gonna have a competition. See who can clean their room first. See who can get the neatest shelves. And
Actions are such idiots.
but that's
easily. Yeah.
Make it a competition and they're in.
Yeah. You don't even have to.
Okay, let's see how fast we can do this. Okay, cool. I'm going to set a timer on my watch. Can you beat the timer?
Yeah, you haven't even set up the rules yet, so they got.
And like, I'm going to time you. And or see if you can beat your last score. They don't even have a last score, but they're going to go.
They don't remember that. Yeah.
So it's when you connect with each one's values, then you'll get them to be able to do what they need to do. The problem in today's society is we go in with my values and you should have the same. So the rules are this. And that's when we create damage because unknowingly we harm children, we harm our employees, we harm different people because our values are different.
Or we don't take the time to actually get to know them and understand them. But also, like you said in the last episode, not many people actually know their values.
Nope.
And that's, as we said last week, as a generalization.
Yes.
Like most people don't know their values, so it's very difficult to connect with their values. But like the example of your girls, it takes time. You're gonna have to practice and practice and practice till you really start to uncover it. That's okay.
But like you said, with your niece and nephew, as you're learning about their values, you're starting to connect with them on a different level. You can see how they operate. You can see why they do things the way they do or what the different things that they do. But it's important to understand that.
Yeah, I mean, even that's so interesting because I went from immediately, because I was like the sports day. I was like, just win, gonna win, come on. My niece did not care. Like, I've never seen her run that slow before. And I feel it was because I put that on her to be like, come on, let's win. And she was like, I just want to run with my friends. Like, let me just enjoy that. I said it to my nephew. He was gone.
Yeah.
Gone. He didn't win, but he gave his all to compete and to win. And I sat there and I went, oh, next year I've got to take a step back because I've got to allow them to play in their codes that allows them to get what they want to get out of it, right? It's not about me. My values are completely different to theirs. And it's about understanding that even at such a young age.
Yeah, so the knowledge is going to want to know, what are the best running shoes and what's the best technique and how do you do it and where and, and when you do that and you explain to a knowledge like, the aerodynamics of this and that and all that stuff, they're going to go, cool, and they're going to be off like a shot because they're going to be testing the aerodynamics and what have you. And
the science behind it, yeah.
And to see the accuracy of all of those things. Whereas when you're talking to a nurturer,
it's more about
let's go have some
join a running club. Let's, it's all of us together. It's gonna be pretty cool. You can chat with some friends, blah blah blah. And all of a sudden they're in.
It's gonna be so good for your, your personal growth. It's gonna help you with your mindset, all those kind of things. And it's teamwork. We're gonna get involved, and let's see how and you make it about that. That's also gonna motivate them. And this is where it's an understanding the action. It's win at all costs.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take a lot to motivate an action.
Zero. Just go. Run.
It's competition. Let's go.
You're gonna lose. Like, no way.
And so this is where, like, a blueprint's still standing on the start line. They want to know what the rules are, when, how, who's going to pull the trigger on the gun,
What type of gun you
how much noise is it going to make, and where must I put my feet, and where must I put my hands, and they're still planning everything, and so when you understand that that's a blueprint, you can work with them.
Man, this is. I feel like these 4 weeks have been epic, just in the sense of really understand. Like, when you see this and you understand it and you look through it, you start to pick it out in people. And I think I said it to you in the second week. I was going around saying, "You a blueprint, yeah," and people were like, "What the heck are you talking about?" And that was mainly because I went and I was researching it, right? I was finding out all this interesting stuff.
Knowledge is doing the research,
and I was learning from you, and I was like, "Man, okay, I know this stuff." And then I started to realize, wait, I need to actually let me just observe, and then I can get a better understanding. So then I know how to communicate with people, because that's probably one area where I'm lacking a lot, is my communication. So how do you communicate with these different codes? Because everybody's going to receive it very differently, and that's essential. Any final thoughts before we wrap up, B.A.N.K?
Yeah, I just think, be aware of your knowledge, be aware of the people around you that is their values, because they are the most misunderstood people on the planet, the poor knowledges. But they will add huge value to your team when you work with them in the most optimum way.
Yeah, knowledge is interesting creatures. I feel like knowledge and blueprints go together. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Uncovering Greatness podcast. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. We hope that you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, actually just wanted to say thank you, South Africa. You are now in the top 3. You've made it. Whew. Bear's asking me, why don't we have South Africa? I don't know. Now South Africa's in our top 3 viewers on YouTube. We appreciate that. Super, super awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Nicole.
Cool.
Always appreciate your time and your knowledge blueprints. So yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and also, sorry, I almost forgot about this. Entrepreneur Hangout, the next Entrepreneur Hangout, 8th of May, the Fat Ginger. Nicole will be teaching. Always exciting, always excited. You guys should be there. $550 gets you in. As always, I will put the link in the comment section for you guys or in the description, sorry, for you guys to check out, book your seats, come through. Really, really awesome community, great people. More than that, great learning. So thank you guys for joining us. We will see you again next week. Have a great Easter.
Bye.